Okay, so today we're going to be drawing the guide block in AutoCAD 2022. So this is our original print that you can find in your orthographic drawing packet with all the dimensions on it. And then I just provided you a nice isometric view with some hidden lines, which would normally not be in an isometric view of the guide block itself, just so you can see a little bit easier what's going on, particularly in black and white, which is what the packet's printed in. So first things first, what we're going to do is we're going to jump over to our angle bracket drawing here, and we are going to do save as. We'll save it as non-alignment plate guide block, and save. So now we can see our name has changed on our file. We've essentially made a copy of the file. And now we can feel free to delete our lines from the original drawing. Switch over to object here, pardon me. And we're going to start by doing the kind of the top-down view. So we're going to look what would normally be a top view in this orientation, but I think it gives us the most information on the holes. So we're going to draw a rectangle that is 2 11/16 long or wide by 1 1/8 tall. Let's see what that looks like. We've got our object layer selected here. So 2-11/16. And again, the difference between the dash, which is like a minus, and then the slash, again, to produce a fraction is important. I know a lot of people were having issues with that. And we said 1 1/8 tall, so 1-1/8. Okay, so we can see that on the screen there. And hit enter, and we'll just complete our rectangle. Now we want to illustrate the channel that runs down the middle, or apparently runs down the middle. Now, a few things about that. One, we see a width here as 1/4. Okay. We're not getting any other dimensions that position that channel left to right, but we can see it goes all the way through. So we're just going to assume it's in the very center. So there's a few ways we can do that. I think one of the best ways is we're going to select like a construction layer, and we'll just run a line down midpoint to midpoint, and we said it's 1/4 inch. So that means we're going to offset 1/8 inch, so 1/2 inch. We're going to bring one of those up and one of those down, and then we can just delete our middle line. And then these two lines we can just convert into object lines. So that's done. Now we've just got to add our holes. So first things first, we want to find the center points of those holes. Let's jump over to our drawing here. So it looks like our holes come in from each of the opposite corners. So this corner and this corner, 3/16 of an inch from each, in each direction from each corner. So again, with a construction layer, mine's labeled dim for it's like a secondary dimension layer, but same thing. We're just gonna start moving in one direction, 3/16. Then we'll go up 3/16. That's one center point. And in the opposite corner, we'll do the exact same thing. 3/16. And then 3/16 as well from here. 3/16. There we go. So there's our two hole centers. And now we can switch to object. Now we need to draw our holes. Now, we can see that the holes are counterbore holes. We do that by looking at this particular call out. It's also sort of illustrated in the with the hidden lines here in this view. So we have one hole that's 3/16 through. So we know we need one circle that's 3/16. And then our counterbore is 5/16 in diameter. And then that only goes 3/16 deep. We're not necessarily worried about the depth on this view, on our front view here. So we need one circle that's 3/16 in diameter and one that is 5/16 in diameter. So let's draw that. So we're going to start a circle. Again, on our object layer, we'll hit D for diameter. Now we're going to type 3/16, and then repeat circle. Type D for diameter again, and 5/16, 5/16. There we go. Now we can delete our little construction lines here. We don't need those there anymore. And now we're going to add our our center lines. Now I just offset that by 0.1. I think that's a little too large, so we're just going to bring this in. Doesn't really matter. Let's say right about there. Again, the center lines need to be proportional to the hole size, so that's about what we're looking at. It overlaps the outside a little bit, not the end of the world. It's actually pretty good for dimensioning that way. So, line, we selected our center layer here. We're going to draw our center line all the way to the bottom of that guide circle, and we'll do the same thing across. Now we can delete that outer guide circle. We'll select just our two center lines, right-click, Properties, and then we will adjust our properties. Let's try 0.5. Not getting any dashes there. Let's try 0.2. No dashes. Let's try 0.1. There we go. Now we've got our little plus there. That one's done. So now what we can do is with our other center point that we've located over here in the upper right, we're just going to take all of these lines, the two circles and our two center lines. We'll click copy and we'll grab it right from the center and bring it right up here. We'll zoom in and we're just going to delete that little construction line that we left. Ooh, wrong one. Delete that. And I'm having a hard time removing this construction line, so I'm going to slide my center line over, get rid of the construction line, and just bring the center line back into place. Okay. Our front view is done, so we're going to go to our right end view. So let's jump over to here. So our end view we can look at is going to be kind of a rectangle like this with just kind of a notch cut out. So really the only thing we need to know is what's our depth on our view. So how wide is our right side view going to be, and then what's the depth on the groove that's cut out of it too. So our total thickness of our plate here, guide block, is 1/2 inch. And then our groove thickness is 13/64. So let's jump over to our drawing here. First thing I'm going to do, as always, is I'm going to project our top and our bottom straight over with some construction lines. And we might as well project our little groove over here too. Do the same thing there. We'll worry about the holes kind of later. Do that in a minute. And then let's get our object line going here. We'll just draw in an object line. And we said our width here is 1/2 inch, our thickness of our plate. So we'll offset that 1/2 inch and we'll come in with our trim tool after we kind of lock some things in. And we're going to get rid of our construction lines here, top and bottom. We're going to leave the middle ones. But now I can come in with the trim tool and just remove these little tails. So now we have a rectangle that's 1/2 inch wide by the same height as our front view. And then now we just need to put in our little notch and trim off the top edge there. So we said our notch was 13/64 in depth. So all that involves is we're going to type offset, and we're going to type 13/64. Not 16, 64. And we'll just offset this in, and we'll just connect it up with some object lines here and here. And we can delete our construction lines now. Now we just got to clean all this up. So trim, enter. Remember, it's just a notch cut out, and then this gets cut away too, because that notch goes all the way through our block. All right, now we're ready to draw in our holes. So, being that we have one hole that's close, I'm going to work with that one primarily, and then we'll just be copying all that geometry over. Again, this is a counterbore hole. So for now, we're just going to project 5 lines over. So the top of both of the circles, and we'll just bring them all the way across. Plus our center line. Bring that over. Okay. All right. Now let's start getting rid of, or let's start building the structure. Let's do that. So if we go back here, we're going to look at our hole callout. We have our diameters set because we just projected them over, so not concerned about that. But what is the depth of our counterbore? That is 3/16 in depth. So our counterbore is on the top of the plate, which is the left side here, or our block. We're going to offset this edge down 3/16. So offset 3/16, enter. We're just going to bring that object line down. That's going to get turned into a hidden line, so let's do that first. Make that hidden. And we're going to change some of the line type scales as well. Next, we're going to convert this edge, or our middle line here. We'll turn that into a center line, so I'm just going to shrink that down, and we'll convert that to center layer here, green. And then, now what I like to do for our remaining hidden lines is we're just going to draw in kind of a mushroom shape. So we'll bring this across, all the way over and up. Now we have some extra hidden line here, so we've got to trim that off. So we'll hit trim, enter, just trim this little piece here, and then that piece there. So now we can get rid of our very outside construction lines. So you can see we're going to bring this edge down. Now this doesn't go all the way down, so I prefer to just draw a line over top of it. So hidden line, right there and right there. And we can get rid of our construction lines. So now we're just going to clean this up really fast. I'm going to actually speed things up. So we're going to go up 0.1 and over 0.1. And now we want to select all of these lines. We're going to adjust the line type scale on them so that we get our dashes. So let's try 0.2. That looks good for all of them. All right, so our hole is correct now. All we have to do is position the center point of that hole. So we can grab a construction line there. We'll just bring this over just till it touches. And again, we're just going to copy this geometry. Highlight all that. We're going to copy it right from here where it meets the edge and bring that in right there. And now our right side view is done. Top view, we're just going to use, again, construction lines here. Bring that up. Bring that up. And then we'll switch over to object. Draw a line across. Again, our thickness there is going to be 1/2 inch, so offset up or down, doesn't really matter, 1/2 inch. Now we'll draw in our ends. I'm just going to leave that line long, doesn't really matter. Then we'll come in and delete our construction lines, and we'll trim everything off. Trim the ends, trim the ends, trim the other end. And then we're going to put in our hidden line for our groove. So we're going to offset that 13/64, and we're going to offset that up from the bottom and turn that into a hidden line. Okay. And then real quick, we're just going to grab one of these holes and copy it. Doesn't really matter where. We're going to place it right here, and we're going to rotate it 90 degrees so it's upside down. And then we just need to project our hole centers. Okay, so we have our 2 upside down holes. Now we can just place them there and there. And then remove our construction.